pole dancing classes near me. Oh, hi. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to John Dudley Speaks. I'm your host, Average Joe's Jim. English singer-songwriter FKA Twigs has had music in her DNA since a very young age, participating in ballet, opera, and dance, eventually making her way in entertainment as a backup dancer for a myriad of pop artists like Kylie Minogue. And that was just in her late teens. But her ventures into art pop on EP1 and EP2 in 2012 and 2013 led to rising acclaim across music publications like BBC and Billboard. Her debut record, LP1, established Twigs as a formidable new talent, benefiting from forward-thinking production from Arca and Emil Haney that towed the line between electronic and straightforward R&B, while also injecting Twigs' operatic tilt into the mix. The avant-pop landscape shifted in the mid to late 2010s, with acts like Charlie XCX, Tinashe, Frank Ocean, and St. Vincent, all striking while the iron was hot and expanding on the ambition that Twigs had played with in the early 2010s. Magdalene came in 2019, and it was even better than her debut, fusing modern genre hybrids through R&B, trap, pop, and ambient, while tapping into a vulnerability she hadn't yet displayed. These explorations and experimentations would continue on the 2022 mixtape Capri Songs, a playful page in Twigs' story that acts as a sort of bridge from her trailblazing alternative pop to now, Eusexua, a neo-techno magnum opus that dares to push the paradigm even further to its breaking point. Like the avant electropop records that have had a sizable impact on the culture so far this decade, as well as their current impact on aesthetics and style and fashion, Eusexua pivots off of these marvelous rave and techno-inspired foundations with something that's refreshing and singular to FKA Twigs as an artist. With a lineup of producers to die for like Corliss, Jeff Basker, Stargate, Dylan Brady, and OG Volta, this palette of pulsing electronic splashes and bustling UK rave adjacent instrumentals still keep an innately baroque sensibility that's beautifully stark, matching the visuals that she's dropped prior to the release of the record. The opening title track is a masterclass in tension, its buzzing undertones being kept at bay until the perfect time, when Corliss and Twigs allow its musical elements to naturally blend together, creating a down-tempo symphony that can only be described as euphoric. Girl Feels Good brilliantly captures the pre-Y2K, new age electronica that was all over the dance floor back then, emulating Ray of Light, Homogenic, Play, and Impossible Princess, but inviting subtle gothic brushstrokes that lend the track character and weight. There's also a trip-hop tilt that Twigs indulges in on Room of Fools that almost feels like a cross between Ace of Base, Massive Attack, and Madonna, and her and Corliss's work on this instrumental's pace and progression is absolutely fantastic. Not to mention the industrialism of Drums of Death is tantalizing. It sounds like it could have come straight from the Matrix soundtrack. Even Nicholas Jarre's contributions on the ethereal Keep It Hold It and Stargate's contributions on Perfect Stranger add a tonal balance that reflects the obscure while also propping up catchy rhythms. But it's this overall mix of producers that keeps one style from flourishing over another. Childlike Things has Jeff Basker written all over it with its bouncy, undeniably playful dance pop instrumental. And then the 100 Gex influences from Dylan Brady on Striptease are corrosive, striking, and chaotic. In short, it's a dance music fan's dream hearing all of these ideas coalesce in execution. And it's even better that it speaks to Twigs' mission statement of different kinds of transcension that we can experience as humans. To me, it sounds like Eusexua. FKA Twigs stated to British Vogue that the writing and recording sessions behind Eusexua had a goal to create something that transcended human form through intense forms of sensation and passion and connection, whether that's spiritual, physical, mental, or emotional. And I think the final product captures that feeling in its themes and its song structures consistently. The title track serves as a strong thesis. Its peculiarities on its surface are relatable, tapping into the mystique of attraction and curiosity, especially when it comes to sexuality. But looking further into this song's repeated use of the album's title, and Twigs excellently builds a world around its allure, as it crafts a safe, non-judgmental space of free thought and open-mindedness, binding this idea of intoxicating liberation to freedom found in community. Girl Feels Good indulges in a composition similar to late 90s Madonna, like I said previously, but its take on modern feminism doesn't look back, but instead looks down the barrel of current dynamics, underlying the power that women hold just through their sheer existence. And I think this, and Drums of Death, and Room of Fools, play a little heavier into the ideas that Twigs spoke of in her rollout, specifically when it comes to subcultures like rave subcultures, and the intersection of love and shedding one's skin. But then there's Sticky, which details the apprehension of subjecting one's partner to your own vulnerabilities and desires, especially dark and taboo desires. And then there's Perfect Stranger, which self-deludes in order to engage with short-term pleasures and individuality, further cementing this conundrum of Twigs wanting to experience euphoria, but not wanting it at the expense of her own mental anguish. It's truly brilliant writing that's perfect in its juggling of themes of identity and self self-expression, while remaining in touch with its hypersexual nature to justify her seeking of Eusexua. The closer, Wanderlust, touches on this in an amazingly focused fashion, delivering a flip on the title track's thesis, imposing that while this sensation is one that breeds excitement, it can't be a replacement for being human. And to me, that's a really powerful statement. With an angelic voice that's spine-tingling at its most haunting, but rousing and cheerful at its most unshackled, this album, in my opinion, is the best representation of Twigs' talent on the mic so far. The title track trickles with cutting, operatic vocal inflections that are mostly muted until reaching a stifled climax, a mode that she doesn't really leave throughout the duration of the album. Girl Feels Good and Perfect Stranger find a stunning marriage of form-fitting pop acrobatics, as well as icy alternative stylings that service the composition rather than overplaying their hand in terms of embellishments, which extends to a lot of the balladry here, like on Wanderlust and Keep It Hold It, as Twigs denies herself from being too emphatic by staying locked in on displaying soulfulness and relatability. Striptease is also a major highlight, as she waffles between illuminating vulnerability and throwing caution to the wind, playing directly into the record's themes. I thought her energy on Childlike Things with Northwest was absolutely infectious, totally meeting the moment while staying on brand, despite the heavy pop leanings on the track. But then conversely, her growl and stylized sexual hunger on Room of Fools is borderless in its delivery, as well as Drums of Death with its steamy one-word mantras, which are laid down with heft and mystery amid its forthrightness.
Wonder how you feel.
With 11 tracks totaling 43 minutes, this is Twigs' longest studio album to date, but it hardly feels like it because each successive progression feels unpredictable, and it's so full of vigor that's difficult to emulate in this current climate of pop. That's why I put this in the same conversation as 3AM, Brat, Something to Give Each Other an Imaginal Disc, because it takes the conventions of dance pop and turns them on their head in a way that's digestible for a mainstream audience, but still stays true to its experimentalism. With that, you get efficiency, and Eusexua has a ton of that, keeping you involved in the world that Twigs created, as she pumps you up for the surprises that are at play during the track listing. It never lags and maybe has one track, 24-Hour Dog, that doesn't quite hit, but at the same time the pacing and the sequencing is so concise and focused that you never find yourself wanting anything other than experience this feeling that Twigs has transcribed.
Dum, 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 dum.
I think this is FKA Twigs' best record yet, and it will likely be a highly influential album for modern dance and rave culture as well, and probably will be one of the best to release this year. Constantly elusive, seductive, eerie, enlivening, and enlightening, it's a record with a cohesive core structure that's elevated by an astounding artist at a new height of her creative powers. But hey, that's just my perspective. If you're an FKA Twigs fan, this is a near masterpiece. And if you're in the market for a passionate deliberation on passion, soundtracked by nods to dance aesthetics old and new, you're gonna have a fun time with this one. Alright, that's all I got. Bye!